Mayor, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today.
Thanks for having me.
What's it like knowing that you're sitting in this office and in a couple of months you're going to be doing something else?
I've not spent a lot of time thinking yet about what I'm going to be doing after. I mean, we've got a lot of stuff that we're trying to get done before the clock runs out. And so, most of these days are focused on how do we take those things that we're trying to move down the field and get them as far down the field as possible. There's so much economic development work. There's so many initiatives we have underway. So there's, people are saying, are you slowing down? Do you feel like you're relaxing? Right now, I feel like we're moving faster than ever.
It's taken a lot of work to get to this point, right? So let's start back in 2016 when you took office. This picture is from 2016, and it's your first appearance as mayor on The Real Story with Al Terzi and myself, who were hosting. And I remember you coming on, and at that time, Hartford was on the edge of bankruptcy. And I remember us asking you, you finally got under the hood, how bad are Hartford's finances? And you said something along the lines of, worse than I thought.
Yeah, it was worse than I thought. The city was bankrupt. It was not legally bankrupt, but it was financially bankrupt. And it was facing an immediate shortfall, but then a cliff that was dramatic, just a year and then 2 years ahead. And so, as you and I talked about then, we were determined, my team and I were determined not to just buy some time, not to just get us from one year to the next, not to figure out how to piece it together, but to really try to give this city a fighting chance of getting some long-term stability and have an opportunity to grow. And that's what we tried to do. And it started with just being open and honest about the size of the problem and not hiding it, but saying this is how big it is and this is why it's this big. And then doing all the things that we could within our power to tackle it, right? We made some really deep and difficult cuts that our community felt. It means our community was a part of that process of tackling
Concessions.
Layoffs, reductions in service, and then we asked our unions for a lot of concessions, and they stepped up in a big way. And we asked our companies to be part of the planning, and they came forward with some significant financial contributions. And of course, we also built that critical partnership with the state of Connecticut, where the state assumed those long-term debt obligations. But our commitment in turn was that we were going to manage and govern with rigor, and we were going to budget like every dollar counts because it does. And I'm really proud of our record of doing that. We have not borrowed a single dollar of long-term debt after 2016. And we have generated surplus after surplus that we've reinvested in our community, in capital investments that will make a difference for the long term in our city.
Hartford, no doubt, has so many bright spots, and we're going to be talking about that in a few minutes. But the city also comes with its own set of challenges, and you faced many when you were here in office these last 8 years. I wrote down a few of the times that I figured were probably really difficult and tough to manage, but I want to hear your thoughts on what some of those tough times look like for you.
Look, obviously the fiscal crisis when we came in is at the top of the list. But there was also the baseball park, which was off the rails when we came in, and we had to get that on track in the most responsible way we could. There was a pandemic that hit us right as it felt like we were starting to hit our stride. Coming into 2020, we had so much momentum, so much investment, and I think we were restoring confidence. And then we smacked into the COVID wall. And then, of course, the summer that followed the murder of George Floyd brought its challenges to every community. But I'm proud of the way we tackled them. I hope we tried to address them head on and in a way that put our community first. And of course, we also have lots of other challenges that were more expected. The challenge of gun violence that plagues so many communities and has been devastating for Hartford for so long. And we saw a spike in gun violence in the wake of the pandemic. Our team, I think, is doing more now than ever before to try to tackle that. But it's still traumatic for our community to experience that level of violence.
Very similar to what I was thinking were probably challenging in office too. Gun violence, no doubt. The pandemic brought its own set of challenges. And then redevelopment around Duncan Park you had to deal with when you first came in. And now that kind of still is an issue as well, right?
Litigation continues, but at the ballpark, we've got a ballpark that's the been voted the best minor league ballpark in the country for multiple years in a row. You've got first phase of development that really proved that the demand is strong. You know, those units filled up as fast as they were built. And it's frustrating not to be able to move forward as quickly as we want with the next phase of development next to the ballpark. But I also think there are other opportunities to keep that momentum going. So as an example, you got the 13-acre parcel of land at the old RPI campus. I think that's going to become an opportunity for us to regain that momentum. And hopefully we'll be able to move forward on the lots right across from the ballpark soon. But overall, the broader vision of using that ballpark as the cornerstone of a bigger development that doesn't just create new residential opportunities, but helps to knit our neighborhoods back together and reconnect the downtown to the north end, that is very much alive, and there's a lot of progress and a lot of reasons, I think, to be confident that we're going to see that play out in the years ahead.
Let's talk about the future of Hartford. There is a large candidate field running for your position. What do you think of the candidates running, and have you endorsed anybody yet?
No, I haven't endorsed anybody yet. I think it's great there are a lot of people running. You know, I think you want to have a lot of options for the community to consider. The process is going to go on over the next few months. You got a convention, you got a primary. I think that field will probably narrow down, but at this point, I'm not taking any position.
What is your advice for the next mayor?
I think the most important advice to the next mayor is to trust the community. Don't be afraid to share bad news. Don't be afraid to acknowledge challenges. And my experience is if you do that, then people will support you when you try to address them in the right way.
Let's talk about your future now. What's next?
I don't know yet. You know, I imagine when I'm done on January 1, for some time, I'll just do something completely different and get a little change of pace. But I don't know yet longer term.
Will we see you running here in Connecticut again?
I don't know yet. I mean, I've loved this job. I love this work. I think it's the right time to pass the baton, but I don't have any plans yet.
Tell me about the people here in Hartford that you're going to be moving on from. Is that hard?
Well, I'm not planning to move on from the people of Hartford. This is my city. This is my home. It's going to stay my community. But that is one of the best parts of this job is the team that we've built that I get to work with and the people in the city. I mean, this is a beautiful community. This is a community full of people who love their city, love their neighborhoods, love their families. It's a beautifully diverse community. It's a resilient and a strong community. It gets knocked down and gets back up again and again, and I love it.
Why should people root for the city of Hartford?
Because it's a city worth rooting for. This is a city that has so much heart, that has so much spirit, and it has such good people. And I think it matters. It matters not just for this community, it matters for the whole state of Connecticut. You know, that's one of the things that I tried to spread the word about when I first came in, is that everybody in Connecticut's got a stake in the future of this city. It is the economic engine of this part of Connecticut. It's our state capital. It's a city with incredible history, and it's a city that punches so far above its weight when it comes to arts, culture, music, sports, and just a sense of community.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us.
Thank you, Jenn.
This special.
Appreciate it.